Hi, this is the 11th of October 2011. Sometime early in September, the readings on sentiment indicators were getting a little low, and there were signs that you could have, actually done some cooling off before the next leg down. We did get some bounce back to 51.80 on the Nifty, though I was expecting a little more. But then you had the fifth wave pending, which is why we kept looking for another leg down. Last week's reversal in the short-term momentum indicators indicates that you probably would have completed a five-wave decline from the July high and for the US market from the May high. So while the entire topping process involved a lead lag, with different markets around the world making their highs at different points of time, they seem to have aligned more now. A five-wave decline in wave C and a wave one decline in the US, both five-wave setups ending at the same point of time, which means they are now aligning. Both would retrace in wave twos at some degree, and then start wave three down. So I think that alignment has taken place. Uh, the uh, the readings on some of the indicators like breadth have positive divergences over the last couple of months, which were not confirming, but the positive momentum now means that those divergences are still holding. The AD is not making new lows with the market. The volume put call ratio had extremely high readings, a contrarian indicator showing that sentiment was really getting extreme, people getting extremely pessimistic. So these were reasons for a potential reversal, but till the fifth wave was over, it was hard to call. The fifth could have extended on the downside in an exponential sell-off, even in the current leg, especially given that October is a seasonally bearish month. That was one reason to have expected it, but because the momentum reversed in the last 3 days, one would probably have to call off that seasonality and look for a wave 2 up, unless something changes in the extreme short term in the next couple of days to drive it lower. Otherwise, as long as we are above 4700, I guess we are still doing wave 2 up for our market, and probably similarly wave 2 up for the US market, which should last maybe for 2 to 3 weeks on the minimum side, and we've seen some of the recent medium-term rallies last even up to 7-8 weeks with a detailed ABC setup in the last 6 months. So I don't know which one is going to be a quick reversal, or a more prolonged pullback move, which is something I'll have to actually keep fine-tuning in the short-term updates. But the point to note is that we are seeing wave 1 and wave 2, which means eventually you're going to get a wave third down. Ideally, it would happen once all these bailout packages are announced, maybe sometime in November. You'd complete wave 2, like I said, 3 weeks to 5 weeks, and then the third wave down starts. That's one ideal scenario. You could retrace anywhere up to 50% or 61% in that. Minimum, of course, is a 38% requirement, which in case of the Nifty would just mean back to 50 to 100. Not being able to go above that cutoff line, but since it's a wave 2 retracement, which can sometimes be larger, you just need to be a little open as to what exactly transforms there. So that's the immediate outlook till volumes which are extremely high, especially in the large caps in the last couple of days, they would cool off, reduce somewhat. You would see volume put call ratios reverse, going back to the 0.4 range. You would see the AD ratio actually pick up and improve on the upside before you create some room for a potential third wave down to actually happen. It's also critical that you retraced exactly 38.2% of the entire rise you had in 2009-10 in the Indian market. So it was an important retracement point. Something I spoke of in the morning today, that after 1 year of downward trend in the market, the indices themselves, like the Sensex or Nifty, have not lost more than 20-25% from the peak, which is a little unusual, because bear markets often tend to lose up to 50 to 60% within this time frame. In fact, we've seen larger losses even in the smaller degree corrections that we saw in 2004 and 2006. The sharp sell-offs within 2 months lost more than this. So it's really been a surprising year because of the rotational distribution between sectors, that the index itself has not fallen that much. So which can be looked in both ways. Some people would say, well, it's just a correction and the bull market would resume. But because the global setups of a wave 1 and 2 up and a third wave is impending, I think the risk overhang to our markets remains extremely high from that perspective, and therefore I think I would stick with a much more slower downward trend, which is forming in the post 2010 bear period, but it is still splitting into a detailed breakup in terms of the wave count. I've called it wave A. Wave B was a big triangle, and now wave C would be an extended fifth wave. So we've just completed wave 1 of C. We're going to do wave 2 of C, which could be 5200, 5300. 5330 would be around a 50% retracement, and then probably start 3 of C. So that's what I'm really looking at. In my last video, I also spoke about the currency, and I would really like input from someone who could really think alternatively on how one should look at currency valuations. But if last time I spoke about the 1 rupee coin, now here this is the most recent 2 rupee coin, and if I take the 1 rupee coin that was in usage up to some time back, it's still in circulation, and I put them together, they are the same size and they are the same thickness. I mean, and they're the same metal. So this simply looks like a clear 100% devaluation of the rupee if I just go by how it is being minted. Now you may say the cost of minting has gone up, and therefore it's not a devaluation. It's just a change in cost. But that's what classically or traditionally the currency meant. I mean, in the good old days, coinage issued by various kings and democracies was simply measured in this form, that they were backed by something in how they were made, and devaluations were done by reducing the amount of golden coins. Here we are seeing simply the size of the valuation change, and a similar size change occurred exactly some 7 to 8 years back. This 2 rupee coin, an octagonal kind of shape was introduced back then, and if you took the 1 rupee coin at that time, you put them together, they were the same size, same thickness, so that was also a 100% devaluation, not really reflected in the rate of the USD INR, simply because we are into a floating rate regime, which is more about capital flows and no more about real valuation. But when you have a global deflationary environment, when currencies start correcting, asset values start correcting to their real value, then those values are actually realized. Now if I simply go by this 2 times double devaluation since early 2000, that already puts the value of the rupee all somewhere in the 160 range. That's way off anyone's belief or imagination today. I don't think anyone can believe we can even get there, but that's what the minted 1 rupees really become worth. So if anyone has thoughts on that, any work on that, someone who's done some historical study or an understanding of monetary systems, you can send me a note at indiacharts@gmail.com, and I would really like to read about it. That's all from me today. Thanks and bye.